Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Peter here for the first time. Welcome. And also apologies from Peter that usually comes. He's having a quiet evening. Also apologies from John and Susanna. They're preparing for their European journey, so they'll be back in a couple of months. And also Saram said she might be arriving a little bit late, so she might come in during the meditation. So let's settle in with our meditation this evening. So having established our comfortable sitting position, settling in, settling down, relaxing back into being. Meditation is taking time to become more collected, more centered, more balanced, more poised in the present moment. A mental movement away from thoughts about what has been, thoughts about what might be. Disengaging, disconnecting from the roles and responsibilities of self that often come with some degree of stress, angst, concern. Allowing the mind, heart to be free from the need to engage into thoughts, roles, responsibilities. Coming back to presence, mindful presence. Experiencing a way of being and knowing rather than doing and thinking, simply being and knowing. Allowing the fundamental true nature of the mind, heart to be experienced as inner stillness, silence, spaciousness. Refreshing and rejuvenating for the whole of our being. And to help in this process, we can maintain our awareness in the present moment by noticing each soothing, therapeutic breath. Just the naturally occurring sensation of our breath. Maybe as we feel it entering, exiting the nose-nostril area. Noticing and feeling each breath. And maybe also repeating one or two mental words in our mind, a mantra. It helps to keep the mind away from thinking and just becoming present. But firstly, breathing out any stress, tension from this day, the happening of the week. Relaxing awareness down into our body, this platform for experience, the body. Sensing, feeling, our body sitting for the purpose of meditation. Awareness of a few basic contact sensations, feet connecting with the floor, our body connecting with the chair, cushion or meditation stool. Feeling our hands resting in our lap, one hand against the other or against the fabric of our clothes. Relaxing the abdomen, belly area. Allowing our chest to expand freely as we breathe. Awareness of our face, maybe feeling the air connecting with our face. And noticing subtle light coming in through the closed eyelids. Perception of some degree of lightness, brightness. color, patterning, or just a blankness as we look through our closed eyelids into the space in front of us. Forward focused gaze into the space in front through the closed eyelids. A few background sounds that we don't need to be distracted or disturbed by. And particularly the internal sounds or sights of thoughts, not engaging into those. Allowing those to dissipate, dissolve, disappear. Allowing this fundamental peaceful nature of the mind to become apparent, especially by directing and sustaining attention on the sensation of our breath. Developing mental collectedness, mental composure, concentration. Developing inner calm ease. Feeling and knowing each life-giving breath in each present moment. Here, now, knowing. Just before we get a cup of tea, biscuits, to mention a couple of weeks ago, Loretta, who's not here this evening, left her umbrella, a Bunnings umbrella outside. She mentioned that when she left, it wasn't there. Someone might have mistakenly taken her umbrella. So if you find you've got an extra Bunnings umbrella at home, it could be Loretta's. It didn't rain that night, but she was using it as a bit of a walking stick. She's got a bad hip. So if anyone knows what might have happened to it, there is one out there that's an old one of mine, which is broken, but this was a usable one. Please help yourself to some tea, biscuits, and we can have some reflections. $2,500 years ago, almost 2,600 years ago now, the Buddha said that one of the most important, significant, wonderful things that a human being can do is to cultivate the quality of their consciousness, particularly through meditation. So that was said a long time ago, and we can probably pretty fairly say that that statement stands true for now in the 21st century as well. Certainly we can, as human beings, we can do amazing things, create, build, scientific discoveries and so forth, but still the practice of cultivating the quality of our mind, increasing the potential of our humanity through our mind is still something that's most significant and important. Appreciating that our whole experience of life is mediated through our mind. So if the mind is distracted, distorted, distressed, depressed, diminished, then that affects the quality of our experience. Obviously, if the mind is developed, cultivated, enhanced, so it has clarity, calmness, collectiveness, certainly concentration, then that enhances whatever we do experience. So obviously, that might be one of the reasons that we practice meditation at home and certainly here, coming together to share some meditative time, the importance of meditating together, group feel, group practice, bit of peer group pressure, sit for 30 minutes, and not just on a Thursday night, but also on a Sunday meditation day as well, which we did have last Sunday. And with the special presence of Ajahn Bhuripanyo, the Australian Buddhist monk. So usually on the Thursday after we've had an event like that, we have what I call a Thursday evening of Ewa Me Sutang, which is the Pali language words that begin many of the discourses of the Buddha. Ewa Me Sutang, thus have I heard. Basically, the Buddha's attendant monk, Venerable Ananda, relating back what he had heard whilst sitting with the Buddha, while the Buddha gave an instruction, a teaching, a discourse, speaking to various people. And so many of the discourses begin with Ewa Me Sultan. So I thought this evening we could have again, thus have I heard. What did we hear? What did we hear last Thursday with Ajahn Bhuripanyo here, and also on the Sunday? Most of us were probably here on the Thursday. Some of us were here on the Sunday. Those that weren't can listen to what was said, and also certainly ask questions, because great to be able to remind, recap, reassess, reaffirm what we did here, and so that the teachings, the worth of that, and even the experience, what did it feel like to be sitting with a Buddhist monk, someone that's committed their life to a way of life devoted to developing the quality of their mind through meditation and certain practices that come with monastic life. How did that feel? Was it challenging? Was it encouraging? Was it inspirational? So we can debrief that, and particularly just to lead into this, what Ajahn Bhuripanyo spoke about on Thursday pretty much led into what he spoke about on the Sunday. And in the context of the theme that I gave him, or that he gave himself, because I like to have a theme to these Sunday meditation days, so that I asked him if he wanted to have a particular theme to talk to, and he said, "Oh, nothing in particular. I'm sort of haven't really given many talks. Happy just to talk about why I became a Buddhist monk. That's easy." And so I said, well, that's great. So we'll put that as the theme, why I became a Buddhist monk, and reflections on monastic life. And so he spoke to that, and particularly pointing out that existential experience, the experience of existence, the wake up, shake up, wake up call to become more aware of the importance of living consciously, particularly through witnessing the death of his best friend, someone that he'd knew as a child, grew up with, only a couple of years younger than him, that died of cancer very young. And that sort of really shook him up to think about how he was living his life, what he was doing with his life, what is the meaning and purpose of life anyway. And that got him meditating and on into Buddhism and onto a spiritual path. And so also speaking about the importance of a topic of meditation, which the Buddha recommended, which is good for anybody, everybody, though not everybody will find it conducive. It's often quite challenging. So Maranasati, the mindfulness of death. So contemplation of death, given that it's something which will come to all of us personally, not just the experience of parents dying, grandparents dying, parents dying, other relatives dying, friends dying, and pets dying, and so forth. But the fact that we ourselves, this body that we wear as a cloak, will at some time cease to function and need to be let go of. So an important consideration, which then begets the question of how do we live then? If we are going to die, then how do we live, and how to live a more meaningful, conscious life in whatever time we have left? And when I was discussing the topic with him, I mentioned a Thai saying, which I learned when I was in Thailand. I mentioned it a few times on the group here, which in Thai it says, Rao mai ruwa, pruni jaben wan mai, re jaben chat mai, which translates as, none of us really know whether tomorrow will be the beginning of our new day, or the beginning of our new life, given that we died last night, got reborn the next day. So we live with that uncertainty. So Ajahn Bhuripanyo spoke to that, and hopefully those of you that were here found his reflections encouraging, inspirational, and a motivation to be more mindful. So over to yourselves. Anyone like to share what their experience was, either the Thursday night or the Sunday? Might have been the first time you've seen a Buddhist monk, or so any experiences you'd like to share? Justin?
Um, well, there were a number of, I came on the Sunday. Unfortunately, I wasn't here for the Thursday. But I suppose from my point of view, there were a number of aspects of Ajahn Bhuripanyo's visit that resonated with me. Aside from the words themselves, I found his presence to be very calming, very natural, very human. Even the time when he forgot midway through his talk what he was going to say was such a real moment. And his guided meditation in the beginning I found particularly just really light, easy, just very flexible, especially the approach of just let's just sink into the body and allow the mind to roam, have some freedom to explore where we're noticing this present moment. Is it in the body pressing against the cushion, or is it in our belly breathing? Just, I thought that was a lovely way to relax. It's often, not often, but sometimes I feel maybe a pressure to sort of sink into the meditation quicker than so that was a nice transition. And then with the words, I found it really interesting that the Ajahn had not had any experience with Buddhism, especially before his friend was diagnosed, and had no kind of reading really, and then did the 10-day Vipassana retreat, and just found that space, I suppose, to look at his own awareness, or to investigate, had a real connection with him. So it's just a really sort of quite a sort of direct pathway into I suppose his new direction in where he learned to sail. That was quite an interesting story there. And just lastly, just touching on the nature of the topic of the practice of investigating death and dying as a way of as a practice of life and living. I just found that really such a useful reminder, and I took a lot from it, just for myself, my own life, and also in the work that I'm doing around death and dying as well. So there was just so many parts of it, and I really appreciated the space that you provided for him to come, and then his caring and very clear kind of messaging.
Good. Brendan?
Yeah, definitely echo what Justin was saying there. I found him very relatable, like easy to connect to, and it was just a real sense of ease and an easy connection there. And I think partly he's close to my own age, and had a career in technology like I did as well, so it was kind of easy well, not easy, but kind of almost put myself in his shoes and walk that journey with him and kind of understand where he was coming from. So that was, I think, a really wonderful experience to meet him and get his insights and learn about his journey.
Yeah.
And there was one other thing that kind of stood out to me where he explained when he was talking about walking meditation and not come across this before, but he talked about sampajana, when the foot touches the ground and you have that opportunity to kind of know and come back to what you should be doing. So that was quite useful when
every step is a reminder.
every step's a reminder and to be mindful of what I'm thinking. So sati and sampajana.
Yeah.
That was a great insight. I enjoyed that aspect as well.
That's good. Yeah, obviously over the Thursday night and the Sunday, lots of things that were said, the questions that were asked, how he answered them, lots of various points that were often unless we sort of bring them up, we forget, oh yeah, I remember he said that. And that meditation was really good and a great way to ease people into meditation that haven't done meditation before. And so really good reminders. Sarah?
Quite similar to Brendan and Justin.
Yep.
Yeah, so I found it actually, it was quite a journey for me the whole day. Just given my background and upbringing, so sitting in front of a monk that looked, assumptions only, that looked young or younger than myself, but I don't know how old he is. 50. He looks 30.
That's the meditation. It does that to people. Stop aging.
So it took me a while. It was a bit of a challenge, and I'm like, just take on the wisdom. He's the vessel of sharing the knowledge. Only because I grew up with monks that were, quite elderly. So that was a bit of a challenge for me just to drop in and kind of take in the teachings. Definitely very relatable. I found that him sharing about his mundane life, I think it's really important for people like ourselves in the West so we can relate better on that level. And yeah, the way that he approached it felt like it was for everyone, including beginners and people that have never meditated. So I think that's really important. It makes it very accessible for everyone. But one of the biggest takeaway for me is when he spoke about the reincarnation, because I've been questioning a lot about that. So the way that he explained that, it was very clear, and now, I understand.
So reincarnation as opposed to rebirth?
Going back to my upbringing, this is a very personal thing. I never really understood growing up when my parents, well, particularly dad, said, there's actually no such thing as reincarnation. But now I understand it's not so much reincarnation, it's more the mind, the state of mind we're in towards death. And that's a distinction, right? And then within other, religions, it's more the concept of reincarnation. So now I kind of understand, because so many things that my parents would say, but it was hard for me to fully grasp and understand. So I'm always taking bits and pieces and bring it back and go, oh, wow, now it makes more sense.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, being, I never went to childcare. Childcare for me was go with grandma and hang around monks and temples. So
Same thing.
It was very very valuable session we had to have. Yeah.
Interesting that you said that he looked young because he has a friend who's a monk that is staying up on the Gold Coast. Monk that's from ordained down in Victoria when he was just out of school, like myself, 17, and was a Samanera novice monk and fully ordained as 20, as I did as well. And this monk, Australian, and has spent time in England, and now is back in Australia and just having a sabbatical, spending some time on the Gold Coast, recovering from long COVID. And so Ajahn Bhuripanyo contacted him, and he came down to visit on Sunday afternoon. Came here about 3:30 or so with a supporter. And this monk, so again, like myself, would fully ordained at 20. So he's been a monk for now 20 years, so 40. But so he's only sort of looking quite young, but more senior to 10 years senior to Bhuripanyo. And also, again, a wise, caring person as well. So age is not a distinguishing factor for wisdom. You can have young people that are old, sort of wise and discerning. Can have old people that are foolish. So, and ideally, the younger people, the more wiser they are, then that's lends a bit of hope to society, humanity. Brendan?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting just reflecting on the Ajahns karma, and then mentioning yourself and the other monk being drawn to that life, maybe even directed to that life, at a younger age. So it's interesting, again, I reflect on my life coming to Buddhism much later in life as well. But yeah, I guess depending on the karma that you've generated over this and previous lives, it can take you on a roundabout journey or a more direct journey. Be able to be, I guess, exposed to the teachings. So everybody's got their own path, but I guess it doesn't make one better than the other necessarily. It's just you've got to get there somehow. So it's just really interesting to me hearing those different perspectives of how somebody ends up where they are.
Well, even your son, who has been through you meditating since he was a teenager. So wow, that's really special.
Yeah,
and has been to the group as well.
Yes, yeah. So again, great opportunity younger in life to learn what many others may not in their entire life.
Yeah. And Peter and Leslie, your two children have been here as well for meditation. 3.
Yeah.
Special. So any other thoughts or things that struck you about the Thursday or the Sunday? Contemplations of death, living and dying.
I wasn't here. I was in Sydney and then unwell, but I think I avoided coming because I thought it would be beyond me. And now I'm hearing that perhaps it would have been perfect.
Yeah.
I keep getting reminded of how inclusive this group is, and even if I don't know, there's no embarrassment, or I'm just learning.
Yeah, got to start somewhere.
So feeling a bit left out.
And we did record it, but I haven't made it available yet because I just needed Ajahn to let me know if that editing I did was okay with him. So I'm just waiting for him to.
There's a possibility I didn't miss out then.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
hopefully I can get that out there. in the next couple of days.
But thank you for being so open and inclusive.
Sarah?
Don't want to take up all the space. Yeah, I definitely feel that this is a topic that's coming up more and more. It seemed to be exactly the right time. I've been questioning a lot. For example, I've got a friend, don't need to mention names, but I've got a friend that that he's probably in his mid-60s or 70s, and so he's lived that kind of spiritual life. Probably, I wouldn't say the not the word Dharma, maybe Buddhist philosophy approach, but shamanism. And so he sold his house to focus on his business, and now every day with compassion, I'm trying to be there for him and support him. We all are, but he's got a lot of material stuff, and then it makes me reflect because how dependent he's become on the government support and no housing and renting at that age. And it's given me such a great opportunity. I actually said, you're my greatest teacher right now. You know why? Because it's made me reassess that the two most important things is the practice, daily practice, and the other thing is daily practice, and continue cultivating the wisdom through that. And there was another one that I got from that. Death. So, he's always in pain, and every day is constant suffering. And I thought, well, I don't want to be, I mean, yes, I will be your age, but I wouldn't want to suffer to that extent every single day. And I thought, wow. And then I started to question death as well. And I thought, well, to really, I guess, make this life worth, it always brings me back to the parameters, like the wholesome kind of life, just developing that more and more. So there's less and less suffering. And that's just a prime example of the mundane life and how important it is towards death. So he's been such a great example for me.
So you're learning from his experience of pain and suffering.
There's lots of suffering there. Yeah.
Well, as we know that pain in life is inevitable, comes with being alive, but suffering is more optional if we're mindful. So suffering is more the sort of psychological self that's reacting, resisting, denying, distracting, getting distressed. But that's what the Buddha was pointing about, that we're all struck with two arrows, and one arrow we can remove, the other arrow we can't. The arrow that we can remove is getting caught up, reacting, causing ourselves stress and suffering. The other arrow is the arrow of being alive, that there's going to be pain, illness, and death. And so, but certainly to be able to reduce and then even to relieve the mind, heart from the emotional, mental suffering that comes. And that's where the path of meditation, morality, wisdom becomes really, really imperative. That's why we're here. Certainly a really important reflection to be aware of. And as the Ajahn pointed out, that yes, we can be aware of death, we can be aware of our own mortality, but so what? The important point is to then learn how to live, because we know we're going to die. We need to learn how to live, and to live with more clarity, more meaning, more joy, more wholesomeness, making every day a meaningful day, every day a day of mindfulness and gratitude, a day to be caring, compassionate towards self and others, a day that is a blessing. So when that final day, hour, minute, moment, last breath comes, there's a sense of it's okay because I have lived well. I've used my time well, as opposed to regret, remorse, guilt, shame, disappointment, anger. So that becomes the wake up to realize the uncertainty that we live with, the certainty that yes, we will die, but at the same time to make every moment meaningful, having more of a nirvana mind moment than a samsara mind moment. Samsara is clinging, craving, wanting, desiring, so forth. And the nirvana mind is the relinquishing, letting go, peace, emptying. So it's probably oh, you want some last thing?
Yeah, one last thought. I had to pay a really big tax bill this week. Biggest tax bill I've ever paid.
Ah.
Normally it would cause me a lot of suffering. I really don't like giving the government that much money. But
Dana, generosity.
oh, well,
May they use it well.
if it was used wisely, that would help. But no, I was able to remind myself, you know, after reflecting on Aranasati and what we learned on Sunday, it's like, well, I won't care when I'm in the
Mm.
So, it's really no point getting upset.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have to pay it, then pay it as my gift, as opposed to frustration and angst.
Trying to
Yeah,
bring on the
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, certainly, again, there may be further things that come to mind over the next week or so that for those of you that were here Thursday night and the Sunday that happened, and also just the fact that we think and reflect around some of these points can be a motivation to lead a more meaningful, significant life. So use these reflections well. Thanks for coming out tonight. Have a good week and see you next time.